Now, sparkling charts are nothing but cell-sized graphs. They are of three types. So one is the line, which is similar to a line chart. Then the second one is column, which is similar to a column chart. And then the third one is a win or loss. Basically displays each point as a high block or a low block, and it comes in handy when we are trying to track changes as we move from one month to another. We'll take examples of each of them. I've got the line charts over here, I've got the column ones over here, and I've got the win loss over here. So we'll plot them one by one and we'll discuss them. So I'll just copy this data. Now I've got the household expenditure over here across months, and I've got these different types of expenditures. So I go to insert, I've got these different sparkling options. I click on line. It will ask me for a data range. I select this, I click on OK. And then I can copy it to the rest of the cells also. Sorry about that. What this is showing me over here is the variation of these values over months. So for water, this was consistent, so that's why it had a straight line. For electricity, it was high in the first 3 months, and then it dipped. So you can see that it was high and then it has started dipping over and then it started again rising. Similarly, groceries again, it sort of is stable throughout, but then peaks in August and December. So that's why we see two peaks over here, one in the August month and then the other one in December. Similarly, we have the column charts also. So again, select the data range. So line chart plotted a line whereas the column chart plots bars. So for water, because it was consistent, so the bars are of equal height. Now for electricity, because the bill varies as we move from one month to another, so that's why you can see large bars or you can see really small ones also. Now the last one is the win or loss one. Basically what I've plotted over here is the difference as we move from one month to another. So for water, because the bill remains consistent, it is zero. So that is why the win or loss graph does not show anything over here. Wherever it is zero, it will not show anything. For electricity, as we move from Jan 16 to Feb 16, the bill increases by 5. But as we move from Feb 16 to March 16, the bill reduces by 25. So that's why minus 25. Similarly, for April 16 also it was negative. For May 16 also it was negative. Then for June 16 it was 0. So that is why no bar over here. Now, when you click on a Sparkline chart, let's click on this one. Because we've sort of copied them, they are a group now. When I go to design, I can select the high point. So for all of them, the high point will appear. Low point can also appear. Similarly, I can change the marker colors. For say low point, let me have it with some other color. Let me have it with gold. So that's why now you can see the low point is being shown by gold. There is no negative point. I can show first point, last points, or I can have markers for all of them, which just makes it a bit messy. Similarly, you've got these different line styles over here. If you say use this, then the line color will change and the marker color will automatically change basis what you consider over here. Now, another thing which you want to keep in mind over here is that most of the times Excel automatically takes these values and selects automatic for each sparkling chart. These are the vertical axis minimum value options or maximum value options. So you can play around with them to see how it impacts your chart. But the one which I will highlight over here is the date axis type. So what happens is usually when we plot time-based data, it is assumed by Excel that the data points are at equal intervals. But this may not be the case always, and in order to avoid wrong conclusion, we can use this date axis option. This usually works with column sparkling chart. So let's just copy this and let's remove the June data. So what I'll do, I'll copy paste the rest of the data on June's data. I'll insert a Sparkline column over here. So as you can see now that earlier, if I do a Control Z and I'll just zoom on this cell, I've got values for all these months. But when I applied date axis type option by just selecting these months, now there's a space in between. So now Excel also knows that okay, there is 1 month of data which is missing, so that is why it is showing up blank for that month. So just try and explore various options in the design tab. Sparkling charts are pretty neat and come in handy whenever you don't have enough space to plot a normal chart. Now, before we jump on to the discussion of which chart to use or when to use, I'll just show you how to add a secondary axis to your graph. So let's say I've got this particular series over here and let's say it was on the primary axis. So I've got both the series on the primary axis. I'll remove the data labels first. I'll select the series. I'll do a right click, format data series. This opens. I'll click on secondary axis and automatically Excel will give me a secondary axis with the age over there. I can change the chart type also by clicking on change series chart type. Now let's move on to the question of which chart to use. To be honest, there is no best answer to this, but use that chart which will most aptly describe your data, or you think it shows your message clearly to the target audience. There are, however, some points which you can always keep in mind. One is what are you trying to achieve from plotting a particular chart? Uh, are you trying to plot a comparison or a composition? So, for example, over here, if I wanted to compare profit from product A, B, and profit from product B, C, that is a comparison. So, for this, I can use column charts, I can use bar charts. When it comes to composition, so over here we looked at an example of the contribution of product AB to the entire profit and the contribution of product BC to the entire profit. So that is a composition. For the composition side, your 100% stacked charts come in handy. So your 100% stacked column chart, your 100% stacked bar chart, 100% stacked line or 100% stacked area chart will also come in handy then. Then the next question which you can ask yourself is, are you trying to identify a particular trend or a pattern? For that, you can use a line chart. When it comes to understanding relationships, so we had looked at in our example over here the XY scatter plot. So the XY scatter plot shows me the relationship between age and salary, but then the bubbles chart also shows me the relationship between age, salary, and sales. So for understanding relationships, you can use such charts. For compositions, as I said earlier, that you can have 100% stack charts. You can have pie charts also for compositions, because over here we are just looking at what is the composition or the contribution of these individual items to the overall item. Now this brings us to the end of charts, and following this video we have a document for you to go through. It captures most of these things what we have discussed so far, and then we've got some exercises for you also. Thank you.